All right, let me talk a little bit about what happened out at Saginaw Bay. I was just out there for the NWT tournament. I actually took a top 10 finish out there, so I'll tell you what I was doing that maybe was a little bit different, trying to catch a little bit bigger fish. A lot of fish in Saginaw Bay right now, but trying to get the bigger ones was what put me in the top places in that tournament. First of all, I was using crankbaits. I feel like you can cover a little bit more water with crankbaits, but I was also using a pretty big crankbait, a number 9 flicker minnow. And the main reason there was to try and stay away from some of those small fish. I actually think you can catch more fish on smaller baits, but to kind of weed through them and pull it past some of them, I went with a number 9 flicker minnow. Best color for me was this Copperhead like this. It's some orange and copper in it. The other one that was really good and really completely different was a Blue Smelt. And it just seemed like as the water conditions change, maybe a little muddier or clearer, or the sky conditions change, I might have to switch around between those to find out what was the best color, and quite frankly, it could even switch every hour. So the key is that I'm running this crankbait, but what I was trying to do is run it really close to the bottom. I'm talking like within a foot or two of the bottom. But I didn't want it dragging the bottom. It seemed like if you just dredged the bottom, you didn't catch many fish either. So close, but not right on the bottom. So what I had to do was get that bait positioned the right way. And what I was using to do that is my crankbait, which will dive a certain depth, and adding a snap weight in front of it. This is called the 50+2 method. It's a way to get crankbaits deeper than they can dive themselves. So what I would do is let out 50 feet of 10-pound XT. Then I'd add the snap weight, and then I'd drop the line down a little bit more so the weight would sink and it would pull that crankbait down deeper and get it right to the right depth. Now you wonder how do you figure out how much line to let out in all those places? Well, actually the Precision Trolling Data app was real critical for me in this tournament because again I was fishing different depths. For example, when I was off of Pinconning, the water I was fishing was about 24 foot deep. So what I wanted to do was get my crankbait right down into that 23, 24 foot zone. So what I did was I went to the trolling app here and I dialed up 22 feet down, 23 feet down, and it told me let out 70 total feet of line. 50 foot leader, snap weight, 20 more feet, and if I trolled at 1.5 miles an hour, which is what I wanted to troll, that would put that crankbait just above the bottom, and it worked perfectly. Now, when I was also fishing some deeper spots, like I was up by a Gray, I was fishing 35 to 40 foot deep, so obviously I need that crankbait to be deeper. So what I did was use the app again. In the 35 foot of water, I was letting about 100 feet total out of line. That would bring that crankbait down to 32 feet. If I got a little bit deeper, 110 was another good setup. 33, 34 foot line out, or 33 or 34 foot deep. So again, I'm using this app to get that snap weight and that crankbait into a zone where that crankbait was right next to the bottom. And that was really, really critical. Now, how did I pick the places that I was gonna fish out there? What I did was a lot of driving around and graphing. Both in pre-fishing and in the tournament, I'd literally just drive around, maybe I'd run a little ways, stop, graph for a while, and I was looking for those nice big arcs right tight to the bottom. Seemed like the big fish wanted to be tight to the bottom. Once I saw those were the areas that I'd fish in. To control my speed, obviously I was using my kicker engine to run the crankbaits, but what I use on there is something called the Powertran and iTroll system. The iTroll system in particular for this has a little dial adjustment on it. I could precisely dial that in to the slow speed or higher speed that I needed to run exactly 1.5 miles an hour. I actually use my trolling motor up front to actually do some of the steering and some of the fine, again, speed controls and things like that. So with that exact speed, that weight would run at the precise depth, and that crankbait then would be running just above the bottom, and that's what put a lot of fish in the boat. So drive around, look for some fish, get those crankbaits down close to the bottom, fish a little bit bigger lures. That was the key to my success at Saginaw Bay. I'll let you know what's happening on my Facebook page and the Next Bite Facebook page.